Well, Occupational Care South Africa and Statistics South Africa have released a report on employee absenteeism. It shows that absenteeism costs the South African economy between 12 and 16 billion rand annually. That's a year. It also indicates that over 15% of staff could be absent on any given day. Well, to tell us more about this report, I'm joined now by Lucy LaRue. She's the marketing manager at Paragon Interiors. Lucy, thank you for your time this morning. What made you sort of conduct a study like this? Was there a request for it, or just noticing that there is a problem?
Well, we actually came across the OXA study because we constantly conduct research on really wellness at work, happiness at work, etc. So that's part of our normal activities on a day-to-day basis. And we were quite surprised, just how much how many people were actually not at work because, not necessarily for medical reasons. Over 40% of the doctor's certificates have no diagnosis. And for us at Paragon Interiors, we're in office design, and so we try and look at, the work situation, whether people are enjoying their jobs and want to come to work, and so we saw that as a real red flag.
All right, so you spoke about sort of the sick notes not having a proper diagnosis. So how many of those who were staying at home, from the findings, were actually sick, and how many weren't? Well,
around 60% were sick.
60% were sick,
yeah.
And the rest of them were not really sick?
The rest weren't, no. Well, they had a doctor's note, but there was no diagnosis, so that sort of raises a few questions.
So the diagnosing, do you think that how much of the responsibility now is placed on actually doctors that actually do see these patients? Is there going to be some sort of change in the workplace as to, do you see change coming about as a result of these findings?
Well, I think for us it's more about making sure that people are motivated to want to come to work. You can always get a family doctor who'll be like, understand that you're stressed at work, and though you might not actually be severely ill, they can tell that you're not coping. And so they will, book you off work, and that's within standard practice. But for us, what's concerning is what's causing that issue of not coping, or why are people trying to get away from work? We're spending...
What is making them unhappy at work, or why don't they want to be there?
Well, I think there's lots of factors actually that come into it. A basic formula like reality minus expectations equals how happy you'll be. So one of the factors we see is that a lot of people are having higher and higher expectations of their employers, and at the same time, with the global sort of crunch, with the recession and all those sort of factors, companies are actually cutting costs and removing a lot of the things that made work a nice place to come to, like getting your daily paper, a good cup of coffee, having a spacious place to work in.
A good snack machine.
A good snack machine, exactly, or even a canteen. A lot of companies that we come across don't have a place where people can actually go and have lunch every day.
Okay, so did you find a lot of these things were beyond people's control? A lot of the time you'll have mums whose kids are sick. How much of that contributes to absenteeism, sort of family responsibility days, if that's what they're called?
Well, this study actually just looks at the sick side of things, so we didn't actually look at the family responsibility side. But I think, that is a critical factor. There's a lot of pressure, especially on working women, to be everything to everyone. So you can have an amazing job and career and be an amazing mom and wife, and so sometimes something's got to give. So we try to encourage most of the companies that we deal with to actually allow employees flexibility to work from home. If they have a laptop and they work on their own, our research shows that a lot of people spend most of their day working alone. Why force them to come into the office? Now they're spending their lunch hour at their desk or in the canteen, where they could be picking their kid up from school or painting a painting with their child at the dining room table, and then going back to work.
And not spending half their time trying to get to work sitting in traffic as well, which is the other thing.
Exactly.
All right, very interesting findings. Thank you very much. That's Lucy LaRue, the marketing manager at Paragon Interiors. When we come back, we'll take a look at what's making headlines in some of your morning